Hello everyone, back tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at where next week, 10 days for today's video. This will take us to around the 5th or the 6th of May. So we're going into the first week of the new month with this update. The updates recently have been looking rather unsettled and changeable through the first week of May. And I think we will have some unsettled and changeable weather coming up next week, but there are signs of improvement. So you've been thinking that all of the updates just recently have been a bit depressing. Then some good news, actually. It looks like high pressure might be starting to get its act together as we run up towards Bank Holiday weekend. We got the first sort of hints of this last night when we did the first May Day Bank Holiday weekend update. Just a few hints there that the GFS was beginning to pick up a little bit of an improvement, and models have developed that a bit further through the course of the overnight runs and this morning. So I won't go too over the top. We're saying we're going to be in for summer weather, but it certainly looks like we could be getting improvements later on next week, and I'll talk you through everything that's going on. Right now, we're going to start off with the central England temperature from Hadley. So just to bring you up to date with what's happening for April, we currently stand provisionally at 10.2, which is an anomaly of 2.5 degrees above average. That's provisional up to yesterday, the 25th of April. So despite that, I've had 2 or 3 cooler days now, the CT is holding up, actually. It's holding up remarkably well. I hadn't expected that it'd be starting to tick down by now. It hasn't really started ticking down. I think it will tick down a bit as we go through into the final days of the month. I've got a couple of cold nights coming up tonight and then again over the weekend. So I think this will tick down underneath 10 degrees Celsius, but at the moment it is holding up just about above 10 degrees. In any case, it's going to be a very mild April. It's going to be, if it's not 2 degrees above average, it will be a little bit under 2 degrees above average, you see what I mean? So it'll be a substantially milder than average deviation for April 2018, following on from 2 cold months, of course, in February and March. We'll bring you up to date with the CET when we get through to the end of the month. So these are 500 millimeter height anomaly flowcharts from Penn State University website. Got the ECNDF here on the top, and the GFS, which we'll have a look in a moment, is on the bottom. 500 millibars, 8,000 feet, is an area in the atmosphere. High pressure, low pressure are being moved around by the jet stream running above. Blue extrapolates to low pressure, and yellow, orange, and red extrapolates to high pressure. Now look at this. The ECNDF is placing an area of above average heights over the top of the British Isles and much of Central Europe in the 7 to 10 day time frame. Quite a change, and this is sending the jet stream, indicated by the tightly coloured black lines, sending that generally to the north of the British Isles. So that would mean we shove the jet stream back north, we build up a ridge, and we go onto the warm side of the jet. So that should bring significantly drier and also warmer weather as we're going into the 7 to 10 day time frame. This is taking us kind of like to the end of the first week of May, if you like, particularly towards the second week of May. But it certainly looks like it would bring quite a big change, actually, that to drier and warmer conditions. The GFS isn't quite as good. So this is the GFS 500 millibar height anomaly flowchart. We've got the below average heights much closer to us with this one in the 7 to 10 day time frame, with the above average heights, a high pressure more towards the Azores and towards the middle part of the Atlantic Ocean. And so we maintain the jet stream more or less coming through the country like that. It is drier for the south. We are extending this ridge, get an extension off of the high pressure into southern parts of the country, so it would be drier for the south, but it's still unsettled for the north. And the main thing is that we're still bringing an influence from the jet stream through the country, so temperatures consequently won't be as warm as we see with the ECNDF. Nevertheless, it would still be an improvement, and especially so for southern parts of the country. We would start to go a little bit drier and warmer down in the south. GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. So the red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average. We're looking at Rugby today, just a few miles away from where I am, actually. So we're going to be cooler than average through the next few days, and that could take us up to the weekend and into the start of next week as well. As we go through this first week of May, and that's this period just here, and towards the second week of May, we have got a little bit of a warming trend beginning to appear. Nothing to get overly excited about at this stage, only going a little bit above the red line, so we're just seeing the temperatures picking up somewhat from the very low level, actually, that they are over the next sort of 6 days or so, where we're below average. But an improvement in the temperature through the first week of May. As far as precipitation is concerned, we've got a lot of rain coming up tomorrow across England and Wales, tonight and tomorrow. Then more unsettled weather appearing over the end of the weekend and into next week. There was the suggestion of a deluge for southern parts of the country on Monday. That's improved a little bit as well. I'll talk a bit more about that in a few minutes. But we may get lucky with that also. But still quite a mixed scene. There are rainfall spikes there as we go through this first week of May. So still unsettled, still changeable, but probably not quite as unsettled, not quite as wet as the models, the ensemble, I should say, was signalling a day or so ago. In terms of surface temperatures, that's how things are looking. So this is 10 degrees just here, 20 degrees is up there. 0 degrees down there. We're starting off with maximums around or probably a little bit above or a little bit below 10 degrees Celsius in Rugby, but not a big deviation. That continues into the start of next week. And then through next week, through this first week of May, possibly signs of a little bit of a warming trend beginning to appear there. At least temperatures going back towards the mid to upper teens Celsius, as opposed to being in the low teens or underneath sort of the teens Celsius, such as we are right now. Again, dates on the bottom of the chart. So a modest warming appearing there through the first week of May. Nothing to be overly excited about. We're not going into the 20s Celsius by the look of it, but certainly temperatures recovering from the quite low level they are at the moment. Temperature anomalies for the next week, going from the 26th of April to the 4th of May, coming out below average for the UK, Ireland and much of Western France as well. Precipitation anomalies from the 26th of April through to 4th of May are coming out. A bit wetter than average for the south and east, a bit drier than average though for northern parts of the country. This is how the GFS is looking for Sunday then. So this is the low pressure that's been causing a lot of confusion for the end of the weekend and next week. It's centering itself over central France on Sunday. Now, a couple of days ago, there was a suggestion we would bring that low pressure right up across the British Isles. It's been moved to our east, so we're getting lucky with this. The low pressure is going from France on Sunday up towards the Low Countries and Germany on Monday. Now, what this does do, it does pull down quite a cold northeasterly wind in the early part of next week. And we still have the threat of some rain creeping in across East Anglia and South East England. However, most places are actually avoiding this wet weather. Most of the rain stays on the other side of the North Sea early next week. So get a little bit lucky there of that low pressure. Of course, that low pressure's position is chopping and changing a lot in the runs at the moment, in the model runs. It may be that this will be shunted towards us again in subsequent model runs. It is proving a real headache to pin its exact track down. So don't rule out the chance of a very wet day across England and Wales on Monday, but at the moment it looks like worst rain probably be on the other side of the North Sea. We go through into Tuesday and low pressure starts to move in from off the Atlantic. So this starts to bring reference down from the west and the northwest through the middle part of next week. But then beyond that, we do start to get a little bit of a ridge building in the second half of next week. So that would be bringing drier and warmer conditions through the second half of next week as we run up towards the bank holiday weekend. Nothing to be excited about in terms of temperature. It's not getting into hot categories at all, but it is a warmer situation that we see there as that ridge extends through the country during the second half of next week. And then that takes us up towards the bank holiday weekend. By day 10, which is Sunday the 6th of May, we've got high pressure to our northeast again, and low pressure starting to come back in from off the Atlantic. So how long that little extension from the Azores high lasts, I'm a bit doubtful. By the time you go through, just a little bit beyond day 10, Monday the 7th of May, we're back into unsettled westerlies and low pressure dominated conditions once again. But it does look as though for a few days late next week, it is turning a bit drier and a bit warmer. Let's bring you up to date with all the rainfall developments for the next few days. So this is the GFS precipitation forecast from the weatheroutlook.com. And starting at midnight tonight, we've got outbreaks of heavy rain heading up towards the southwestern part of the country at midnight. That brings really wet weather overnight into tomorrow morning to much of central and southern England and Wales. See those bright colours, the greens and yellows indicating some very wet weather indeed. That's on through much of the morning across England and Wales, gradually moving over towards the southeast and starting to die out across Wales and southwest England by 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. But really from the Midlands eastwards and southwards, it does look as though it's wet through much of the day tomorrow. And even into the evening, it's 6 o'clock tomorrow evening, the rain is still clinging on across parts of East Anglia, the East Midlands and South East England. So a really wet day to come for much of southern, central and south east of Britain tomorrow. By the evening, though, that low pressure is clearing away with the rain. So this is midnight Friday to Saturday, and the rain just left holding on across East Anglia. Otherwise, it's starting to dry up. That takes us into Saturday, when we could see some big showers developing. That's Saturday afternoon to Saturday evening. Again, there could be some heavy showers, risk of hail and thunder. And yes, there's a little bit of white showing up there. That's a little bit of snow possible over the Scottish mountains. So definitely a cooler air mass this weekend compared to the one we had last weekend. Now we go through into Sunday, and showers develop out in the west. They could be quite heavy. Again, there's a risk of hail and thunder. You notice most eastern parts of the country are dry. And there's all of that wet weather that was threatening to give a really wet end to Sunday and into pretty much of Monday. Yesterday and the day before with the GFS model. Now you see most of that rain is on the other side of the channel, so it's across northern France, in towards Belgium and Holland too. Now that rain does just about get into the southeast through the course of Monday morning, so some far southeast parts of the country looking wet, but you notice most parts of the country actually dry through the course of Monday, with the worst of that rain staying to our south and southeast. We get very, very lucky that it just slides away to our south and southeast. But as I said, do bear in mind the movement of this low pressure that's bringing that very wet weather to France, Belgium, Holland and Denmark and Germany. The movement of that low pressure, its track and position changing pretty much from run to run at the moment. And it certainly isn't out of question that that might be trended back towards the UK as we go through the next few model runs. So we will need to keep an eye on it. At the moment, it looks like we are getting lucky. Let's see what the ECMWF is showing. We know this is going to show high pressure. We saw it on the height anomaly flow charts from Penn State University website. We know this is going to develop high pressure in its extended range. This is how things are looking on Sunday. So in a slack flow, there could be showers in the north and west. There's that low pressure that is just to our south and southeast on Monday. It's closer to us with the ECM compared to the GFS. So I think this could still be bringing some really wet weather into southern and southeastern parts of the country, particularly overnight Sunday and into Monday. Again, it's just telling us that the movement of this low pressure is causing a real headache, and its exact track and position from Sunday to Monday is still very uncertain. That's how things look at midnight on Tuesday. Again, the low pressure is closer to us compared to where the GFS has it at the same time frame. It's just off the coast of sort of the Low Countries. So again, it could well be threatening eastern counties with some quite heavy rain through the course of Monday. We do need to firm up on what's happening with that low pressure. Beyond that, it gets out of the way. That heads up towards Scandinavia, and then we're bringing weather in from the west, so probably some rain heading in off the Atlantic through the middle of next week. But then after that, into the second half of next week, there's that ridge building across the country, and the ECM is making much more of it than the GFS does. So this takes us up to day 10, where high pressure is dominating the weather, sitting over and to just to the east of the country on Sunday the 6th of May. So this is bank holiday weekend, and that looks really nice. That would bring a lot of dry weather, and it would be quite warm as well. Temperatures probably would go to around 20 or 21 degrees Celsius with that, close to 70 Fahrenheit. Really good news. We see that the jet stream, indicated by the black line here, that's being shoved off well to our north. It's going up to there, and so that's a lot warmer and drier compared to what the GFS is showing in the same time frame. The only caveat is that it is probably a bit of an outlier. This is the built ensemble for the ECMWF model, and the red line here, this is showing temperatures, by the way. The red line here is the operation run of the GFS, so the run that we're just showing has that high pressure building strongly at the end of next week and going through the bank holiday weekend. The ECM shows that the red line, which is the operational run of the ECMWF, the ensemble shows that it's just about one of the warmest ensemble levels, and the ensemble mean, which is this red dash line, is actually down here, a lot cooler. So probably a bit of an outlier from the ECM operational run this morning. But if it did come off, it's a big if, but if it did come off, it would bring us a good deal of drier and warmer weather as we get to the bank holiday weekend, and that'd be a really, really nice May Day bank holiday weekend with temperatures going into below 20 Celsius and plenty of dry conditions too. Probably an outlier. The GFS is probably close to how this is going to go, which is that we do get some sort of ridge extending across the country for a time at the end of next week before it all begins to turn a bit more unsettled again as we go through bank holiday weekend. But we can't rule out the ECMWF solution, and it's an ever-changing situation because the GFS has moved from yesterday to today. We picked it up when we did the bank holiday weekend update last night, but the ECM was beginning, the GFS I should say, was beginning to move into a more anticyclonic scenario for the bank holiday weekend. It's moved further in that direction this morning, so maybe it will carry on moving and we might finish up with the GFS and the ECM in the same place, giving us a warm and dry bank holiday weekend. Fingers, toes and everything else crossed for that. But in the more reliable time frame, it does look as though we're going to be staying quite unsettled. May get lucky with that heavy rain on Monday. That might slide to our south and to our southeast, but otherwise it's quite a changeable situation until the middle of next week. After that, probably, hopefully, settling down for time anyway. At the end of next week, you're turning a bit warmer. Let's hope so. Tomorrow, it's JMA Friday, so come back for that. We'll be doing the month-ahead look ahead. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.